Your skin instructor's tip of the week. When performing facial lymphatic drainage, lighter pressure is always more effective than deeper pressure. The lymphatic vessels lie close to the skin surface, so the goal is not to knead the muscles or press firmly as possible. Slow, rhythmic, intentional movements are what support lymphatic flow best.
Welcome back to the Skin Instructors. I'm Morgan.
And I'm Jolie.
Today we're talking about facial lymphatic drainage and Gua Sha, two techniques that are often grouped together, even though they're not exactly the same.
Both can help temporarily reduce puffiness, encourage relaxation, and create a more refreshed appearance. But they have different histories, different techniques, and different goals.
But before we get into today's topic, we have an exciting announcement for anyone in the Northeast Ohio area.
Yes. I'm going to be teaching a class at the Beauty Legacy Expo at the Covelli Center in Youngstown, Ohio on September 21st. So this is a beauty expo for all beauty professionals and students. So this includes estheticians, cosmetologists, manicurists, and barbers. They're going to have some incredible lineups of industry professionals and classes. And my class specifically is called Clear Skin, Clear Profit, the Esthetician's Guide to Acne Results and Retail Success. So we're going to be talking about how to achieve stronger acne treatment outcomes, guide clients through home care, and develop retail recommendations that support clients and your business. Tickets are under $70, and I think for students, it's like $35. And for more information about the schedule and classes, visit their website at thebeautylegacy.org. So if you're in Northeast Ohio, come see me.
I am so freaking excited for you.
Yeah, I can't wait.
Unfortunately, I can't make it because I'll be in Seattle at a conference. I'm like, oh my God, when is it? And I was crushed.
I know. I was like, no.
I really wanted to be Kris Jenner with the camera. You're doing great, sweetie.
Love the support.
I can't wait to. You better have some people there who are taking pictures.
Yeah.
And I'll buy a ticket for them. I don't care.
No, a couple of the girls that I used to work with are going to be there.
Okay,
so I'm
good.
going to ask her if she can.
Good. Aw. All right, getting back to today's episode, we want to help estheticians understand what lymphatic drainage and Gua Sha actually do, how they differ, and where social media claims may be overstating the results. So let's start with the lymphatic system. The lymphatic system is a network of lymph fluid, vessels, nodes, organs, and tissues that work alongside the circulatory and the immune systems.
It helps manage fluids. It helps manage fluid balance, transport substances, filter waste, and support immune function. Unlike the circulatory system, the lymphatic system lacks a central pump like the heart.
Instead, lymphatic movement is supported by muscle movement, breathing, pressure changes, vessel contractions, and gentle external stimulation.
So for facial treatments, we're especially focused on the lymph nodes and vessels of the face and neck. Important areas include the submental nodes under the chin, the submandibular nodes around the jaw, and the preauricular nodes near the ears, and the cervical nodes along the neck.
Yeah, those locations are going to matter because lymphatic drainage is directional. We're not just moving our hands randomly across the face.
So we're going to kind of dive into like the direction and pressure and why that matters. And so facial lymph generally moves from the center of the face outward towards the ears and the jaw, and then going down the cervical chain toward the lower neck.
This is why a well-designed lymphatic treatment usually begins by preparing the neck and the lower drainage pathways before spending time on the face. You gotta clear that out.
You may hear practitioners say they're opening the lymph nodes. I mean, we're not literally, opening and closing the nodes like a door. What we're really doing is gently stimulating the areas and preparing the pathway where we intend to direct that fluid.
Yeah, and when looking at a facial diagram, it's going to show movements progressing from the center of the face toward the ears, the jawline, cervical nodes, and the lower neck.
The hydrofacial lymphatic protocol follows that similar principle. So it begins with like opening that thoracic area, then works through the specific facial position, and ends each section by directing movement down the deep cervical chain.
And that sequence is super important. If you begin aggressively moving fluid across the face without first preparing the lower pathway, you may not be creating the thoughtful drainage pattern you think you are.
Yeah, lymphatic vessels are superficial, so heavy pressure may compress those vessels rather than support movement through them.
So the skin should not be aggressively pulled, deeply knuckled, or left bruised. You may see a mild increase in color from touch and circulation, but the goal is not dramatic redness. Truly, it's just like you're gliding across the surface of the skin.
Yep. Traditional manual lymphatic drainage is also performed with like little or no slip product, which can feel, a little counterintuitive to estheticians because we are so accustomed to using like an oil or cream or even like a massage medium.
Yeah, but if you use too much oil on the face, it could cause the hands to slide across the surface instead of gently stretching the skin. You need enough contact to move the tissue rather than simply gliding across it. This is one of the clear differences between MLD, manual lymphatic drainage, and Gua Sha, because Gua Sha usually does require lubrication. So manual lymphatic drainage, often called MLD, is a specialized technique that uses gentle, rhythmic, repetitive movements to support lymphatic flow.
Yeah, so this started with, the Vater method, which was developed by Emil and Estrid Vater in the 1930s. And this method uses very light pressure and specific movements intended to gently stretch the skin and stimulate that superficial lymphatic vessels.
And the phrase stretch the skin is super important because this is very different from a deep tissue massage.
Yeah, with deep tissue, we may be trying to work the muscle, release tension, or even create like deeper tissue manipulation. But with lymphatic drainage, the pressure is more superficial.
The movement should be really slow, steady, rhythmic, and comfortable. And if the client feels like you're digging into their jaw or aggressively kneading their neck, you're definitely not performing manual lymphatic drainage.
So there's several foundational techniques, including stationary circles, pumping movements, rotary movements, and scoop techniques.
Yeah, stationary circles are especially common on the face and the neck. The hand remains in contact with the skin while creating a gentle circular or spiral motion.
And then pumping movements use the hands to create a soft pressure and release pattern. These are often used around the face, the neck, and the shoulders.
Rotary techniques involve controlled, relaxed movements of the hands and can be adapted to larger areas.
And then the scoop technique is more commonly associated with the arms and the legs, so it may not be the main movement that you're using during a facial protocol. The next thing we're talking about is like lymphatic focused treatments. Lymphatic focused treatments can also be performed with devices and handheld tools, including vacuum-based systems like the hydrofacial piece, glass facial cups, or soft silicone cups.
And these tools are going to use a gentle suction to lift the tissue and support that fluid movement along the face and neck. Depending on the tool, the practitioner may use light pumping, lifting, or gliding movements.
Glass tools are usually more rigid, while silicone tools are softer, easier to compress, and both require controlled pressure and continuous awareness of how the skin's responding.
Yeah, the goal is a gentle tissue draw and release, not aggressive suction. Leaving the tool stationary for too long or using excessive suction or repeatedly working the same area can cause redness, broken capillaries, bruising, or irritation.
And just like manual lymphatic drainage, direction matters. The neck and lower jaw drainage pathways should be prepared first. And movements should follow the lymphatic pathways towards the ear, the jaw, and down that cervical chain.
Device-assisted techniques are also different from Vater-style manual lymphatic drainage. Estheticians should be properly trained on the specific device or tool they're using and make sure that they follow manufacturer guidance when applicable, and adjust the treatment based on the client's skin condition and medical history.
And then more suction does not always mean more effective drainage. Again, gentle, controlled technique will always be more important than trying to create a drastic visual effect.
Absolutely. So what can facial lymphatic drainage realistically do?
It may temporarily reduce visual or visible puffiness, support superficial fluid movement, encourage relaxation, and give the face a more rested or defined appearance.
Yeah, it can be a really nice addition to a pre-event facial or for clients who experience temporary morning puffiness.
But the results are temporary. Lymphatic drainage does not remove fat cells, permanently reshape the jaw, or create a lasting facial lift.
Yeah, we also need to be careful with the word detox. So lymphatic drainage may support normal lymphatic movement, but a facial treatment does not independently remove every toxin from the body.
So saying that a treatment supports normal lymphatic flow is a lot more accurate.
Yeah. So let's talk about some contraindications. So contraindications and precautions are going to include heart conditions, kidney failure, blood clots, active infection, bronchial asthma or bronchitis, active malignancy, pregnancy, thyroid hyperactivity, and acute dental pain.
We should also be cautious with clients who have had lymph nodes removed, have diagnosed lymphedema, or recently underwent surgery, injectables, lasers, or other medical procedures.
An esthetician should never diagnose edema or attempt to treat a medical lymphatic disorder outside their scope. The client's surgeon or medical provider's instructions always take priority over a treatment trend. So let's move into Gua Sha.
Yeah, Gua Sha has traditional roots as a scraping technique used on the body. So facial Gua Sha is much more gentler, modern adaptation.
Oh, I just had a massage this weekend, and
Ooh.
she pulled out a Gua Sha comb and like scraped my back, and I was like, yes.
Oh, no way.
It was amazing.
Oh, that's
I'm gonna buy one for home and make Dustin do
I
it.
love that.
All right, so traditional Gua Sha teachings may reference qi, yin and yang, meridians, or blood stagnation.
Estheticians can respectfully acknowledge those traditional roots while still using careful language about modern physiological effects.
In a facial treatment, Gua Sha may support temporary fluid movement, encourage visible circulation, relieve facial tension, and create a really relaxing massage experience.
Gua Sha tools come in many shapes and materials. So some of those include Chinese soup spoons, a buffalo horn, jade, and resin. Today, we also see like rose quartz, stainless steel, ceramic, and some other materials.
Yeah, and the type of stone is not what determines whether the treatment works. It's really about technique, your pressure, the direction, sanitation, and client selection are going to matter much, much more.
The tool should be smooth, free from cracks or chips, and held relatively flat against the skin rather than digging the edge into the tissue.
Yeah, the Gua Sha training that we took and learned about this identifies several basic stroke styles. So there's moving circles, sweeps, presses, wide strokes, and static circles.
Facial Gua Sha generally uses light pressure. Stronger body style scraping that creates dramatic redness or bruising is not usually the goal during a facial.
Yeah, I will say though, I think a lot of people use Gua Sha as like more relaxing lymphatic, and no, there is more energy in this. Like the skin is gonna pink up. Going over a simple Gua Sha sequence, what we learned is step 1 is to lubricate the skin, then loosen the skin, activate, and then calm it.
So first you're applying just enough slip to prevent dragging. And then, A good slip is always jojoba oil. Just
Yes,
because
always.
It's amazing. But the Glide product should always be chosen based on that client's skin type.
Yeah, and then the next step would be loosen. So you're using circular movements to loosen areas such as the forehead, the cheeks, the chin, along the jaw, the orbital bone, and around the ears.
And then you're doing some sweeping movements next. So across the foreheads, up the cheeks, along the jaw, and down the sides of the neck.
And that would be the activate stage. And lastly, we're going to calm the face. We just always like to do a nice pressure point massage.
Yeah. And then if your goal includes supporting fluid movement, begin with the neck, work from the center of the face outward, and finish by directing movement down the neck using a lighter pressure.
Now, when you're considering the differences between lymphatic drainage and Gua Sha, like we're going to make that difference really clear now.
Yeah, manual lymphatic drainage is generally performed with the hands, and it uses that very light pressure. It follows those specific lymphatic pathways, and it's often using little to no slip.
Yeah, while Gua Sha is using a handheld tool, it does require some kind of slip and may combine fluid movement, circulation support, massage, and even muscle tension relief.
They overlap because they both might temporarily reduce puffiness and create a more refreshed appearance.
Yes, but a Gua Sha tool does not automatically make a treatment manual lymphatic drainage.
Correct. And Gua Sha might not be appropriate for every skin condition.
Yeah, we should be avoiding scraping directly over any inflamed papules, pustules, nodules, cysts, broken skin, or highly irritated areas.
Yeah. Pressure and friction can increase redness, rupture these lesions, and worsen inflammation or post-inflammatory discoloration.
Now, Gua Sha is not an acne treatment. Acne still is going to require a plan that addresses excess sebum, inflammation, that follicular buildup, and abnormal cell turnover.
And the technique should always be adapted to what is actually happening in the client's skin.
I will say, though, I do love Gua Sha in my acne facials, though.
Listen, I've been battling acne forever, and I still love getting a facial with Gua Sha.
There's a right way to do it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. All right, before we wrap up, let's quickly address a few common social media claims.
So Gua Sha permanently lifts the face.
Okay. It may create temporary definition by reducing puffiness or relaxing tension, but it's not permanently lift the tissue.
Gua Sha removes the double chin.
Girl, I wish I would have saved so much money on my submental lipo.
Tell me about I wouldn't have to go through so many rounds of Kybella.
It absolutely does not remove fat cells.
Yeah, it does not. So another one is more redness means better results.
Redness is not a measurement of success. Pain, bruising, or prolonged irritation usually means the technique was too aggressive. I do want to address the redness, though, because with the traditional Gua Sha, especially when they do it on the body, they want to see that petechia come up, and that is your chi. That's your an indication that you have blood flow back in there. And I love the analogy that the training that we went through talked about. It's like if you're picturing a lush river bend, you're going down the river and all of the vegetation is nice and lush and beautiful. And then you start getting into a really dry, like desert, like river bend with no water flow.
Yeah.
That is stagnant chi. So when you start to get that energy, that blood flow, that river starts to flow again. And that was, I just feel like that's a perfect analogy. I can visualize
100%.
like what's going on in my body.
Yeah, I absolutely love it.
Yeah.
Lymphatic drainage removes every toxin from the body.
Well, it may support normal lymphatic movement, but it does not replace the body's organs and natural detoxification process.
And then finally, the type of crystal determines the result.
Technique matters much more than whether the tool is jade, quartz, or stainless steel. I don't know what hippy dippy stuff you're reading, but that's just It's not really going to have a big difference.
Right.
All right, this week's homework is to review one lymphatic drainage or Gua Sha routine that you currently perform, teach to clients, or have saved from social media.
And ask yourself, does it begin by preparing the neck and lower drainage pathways? Is the pressure appropriate? Is the movement intentional and directional?
And if it's a manual lymphatic drainage, are you using so much oil that your hands are sliding instead of stretching the skin?
Mm-hmm. And if it's Gua Sha, is there enough slip to prevent tugging? Is the tool held relatively flat? And is the practitioner avoiding inflamed or overly compromised skin?
And most importantly, are the promised results realistic?
Mm-hmm. Practice the routine slowly and focus on pressure, direction, sanitation, and client comfort, not how drastic it looks on camera.
All right, that wraps up today's discussion on lymphatic drainage and Gua Sha.
Both techniques can be valuable additions to a facial when they are performed with intention, proper technique, and realistic expectations.
Be sure to follow us on Instagram at STTraining and head to our website, sttraining.com, for lots more education.
Mm-hmm. And thank you for listening, and until next time,
Don't hesitate to educate.